that all of my neighbors, everybody came out, you know, and they, they encouraged me, they comforted me, you know what I mean? Because I'm standing there crying, oh my God, there goes my house, you know. And one of my neighbors across, he said, Rise, remember, he said, remember where is your God? You know, remember that. You know, who we're depending upon right now. And I did remember, and I'm gonna tell you, everything went just great. It just happened, everything
In a
worked out
nutshell,
very well.
it's a great place to live.
And and my neighbors are great. That's why I still live in Woodlawn, because of my church and my neighbors.
How do you feel about your neighborhood?
Great. You know, I see things changing, you know. There was a time I would sit on my front porch and I look out and it was nothing but mud and rocks, okay? And now I sit out on my front porch and I see green grass and flowers and kids are running around. You know, it's a special block though. And I love it. Your turn, dear.
She answered the same thing she said.
How often do you hear about the violence in the Woodlawn community?
Well, we hear about it quite a bit, but I see more drugs than I do violence. It was a young lady, I think, that was shot, a baby. I think maybe some of you guys might remember that. Her father was in a van and things like that, and they was trying to shoot him, and, you know, they hit her. Losing one person is too many. But again, I don't see or hear about a lot of violence in Woodlawn per se. Okay, there's a lot of changes, a lot of positive changes. The police officers are very visible now. They're walking the neighborhoods and they're patrolling the neighborhoods, and that's very instrumental in keeping it safe. And I think everything is moving toward a positive neighborhood where you don't have to be concerned about going to the store, riding your bike, or going out to the park, or whatever you might be doing. So I think that as far as the balance is concerned, I'm not speaking about the whole city of Chicago. I'm speaking about Woodlawn itself. And I think balance is on a decline, but there's still a lot of things in the neighborhood that's going on, especially with drugs that needs to be dealt with. Did you want to say something about that?
Well, I was just going to say that I can't speak for the entire community of Woodlawn. You know, all I can do is speak of my block and the surrounding area. You know, I'm speaking of from Woodlawn back to Woodlawn, say Dorchester, you know, and in the west past Minerva maybe. You know, I know that there are a lot of problems that are going on in Woodlawn that are maybe west of Cottage, you know, that I can't really speak to those problems because I don't know. And I can just tell you about what's happening on I guess this would be the eastern side of Woodlawn. You know, and things over here have really gotten better and they have really changed. If nothing but the look, you know, what do you call that?
Cosmetics.
Cosmetics. You know, the cosmetics have gotten much better.
Do you believe that the youth is responsible of the violence throughout the city of Chicago? Do you believe that youth is responsible of the violence throughout the city of Chicago?
It's a difficult question. I think that to a degree, every person is responsible for their own actions, especially when you're old enough to make decisions. But I don't, the youth are not the ones that are purchasing these guns. Older people are providing guns, the drugs, or whatever. So that is a very, very difficult question to answer. However, young people are responsible for the decisions that they make. If I tell this young man, what's your name again? Justin. If I tell Justin, here's a gun, go over here and shoot somebody, that is directly on him if he makes the decision to do that. But it is on the older person or the parent or somebody has to step in and teach this young man or these young women some values. And everybody has to be responsible for their actions. That's what I'm saying. But when you know better, you do better. If you don't know any better, then the responsibility has to fall on somebody else. And I'll end my response with this. If I'm a parent and I have a 15-year-old and he comes in the house at 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what he's been doing, where he's been, that is my responsibility. And I've failed him or her. Because as a 15-year-old, you're only going to do what your parents allow you to do. I don't think anybody in here can walk in their house at 1 o'clock in the morning and not get any repercussions behind it or not have to explain where you've been. And you need to have a very, very good reason, okay?
My response to, I think that the youth are responsible for
The
Violence.
the violence. No, I don't. I agree with Sam when he said that the parents, it's the parents, we need to know where our children are and what our children are doing. And what you guys are doing now, this is great. To be involved in this, and you have one another to bounce off.
If you have the chance to leave the Woodlawn community, will you leave, or will you leave? If so, if you have the chance to leave the Woodlawn community, will you? If so, where?
Well, at this point, no, we wouldn't leave. We wouldn't leave the Woodlawn area. I can't think of any place where I would rather live other than here. People talk about other communities. They talk about most of my family and her family, lived in Country Club Hills or the south suburbs and this, that, and the other. I was born and raised in the city, and I love the city. I love being in the inner city, and I'm not going to let gangs or drugs or anything else drive me away from my community and where I live, where my wife and I live. And we enjoy, our dog loves being here, so we're not planning on going anywhere. No, there's no other place I would rather be. Now, at some point in time, we're senior citizens, as you guys say, so maybe at some point in time, we might move to a warmer climate, because it still gets cold here, and at 67 and 68, I can't handle it like I did when I was 28. So, right. So if I do leave, it would be some years from now to go to a warmer climate and just grow old gracefully. But right now, I'm happy to be in Woodlawn. You want to say something?
Yes, there's no place else I would rather live in the city of Chicago than where I live right now, and that is in Woodlawn. I believe in black people. I believe in us. Okay?
That would be all.
That's all? Yes. Okay, okay. Now, I would like to ask one question, each one of you. You want to be an FBI agent? What do you want to be?
A lawyer.
A lawyer?
That's possible.
Actually, I kind of had choices for two jobs. One, if my first job doesn't work out, then the first one I really want to do. The first one is movie producer, and the backup job is accounting and marketing.
Okay, very good.
Good math.
Okay.
I either want to be a football player or a construction worker.
My man, okay. Young lady?
A doctor.
A doctor? Very good. Now, construction, there's nothing wrong with football player. There's nothing wrong with that either. However, if you do pursue